The world has always been wonderfully awesome to me. And not in the sense of, that's totally awesome, dude. I mean that the world is so huge and wonderful that it literally overwhelms me with awe just to be a part of it. I've always had a need to understand as much about the world as I could, and an annoying penchant for trying to tell others so they could understand as well. I can remember being in the first grade and holding my mother's face so I knew she was listening to me when I was telling her about the things I learned in class. I've kind of always been one for a captive audience. I became ridiculously excited about learning, and unfortunately for any adult in my life who was forced to listen to me growing up, I wanted to tell others so they understood how wonderfully awesome the world was too. Thankfully, I never lost track of that passion for understanding the world and educating others. My name is Krzan. I graduated with a secondary English education degree from Flagler College in the spring of 2014 with ESOL endorsements, and I hope to teach the language arts in a high school setting. My journey into teaching has been shaped by my extreme curiosity and my family. My mom was always in love with books. Some of my earliest memories are of my parents taking me to a secluded spot on the river and reading to me. While my mother covered the history of the human experience through books, my dad shared his wonder of nature. I'd like to think that both were passed to me in equal shares. Literature and nature have always been sources of comfort and outlets for adventure. To this day, my favorite thing to do is get totally lost in a book, go on a trail, and find my way out. One of my goals for my students is to have them find a little bit of themselves in the literature they read in class by making connections between literature and their lives so they see that literature is a window to the world. To achieve this goal, I'll have a classroom where students can feel safe and know that they can speak their mind without being judged. Group discussions are a vital part of language arts classrooms, but often students don't have the ground rules for how to participate in them. I'll devote time to teaching discussion etiquette so that students will actually look forward to classroom discussions, not dread them. My biggest push into education, however, was by those few but fantastically quirky teachers I had along the way. I was a painfully shy child, and when paired with a processing disorder, I made for a pretty terrible student. Teachers didn't want to upset me, but they just didn't know how to reach me. Then in 4th grade, I had a teacher named Miss Bates. She was really unique. We had at least 5 classroom pets, and she always rewarded us with peacock feathers from the farm. Her randomness, unusual approach to teaching, and willingness to change her styles to benefit her students really made an impression on me. She drew me out of myself and helped me become the outgoing, confident person that I am today by showing me that it was okay to be different. I want to be that person to a student one day. I want to create a classroom climate where everyone can thrive and let their individual personality shine. Albert Einstein once said, "Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid." Much like Einstein, I struggled with people testing me and concluding that I was lacking knowledge because the tests they were giving me did not test me in a way that fit my learning style. Howard Gardner determined that there are 8 different intelligences, yet Thomas Armstrong found in 2012 that the most common tests only catered to 2 of them: verbal linguistic and logical mathematical. In my class, I will strive to have as many options as possible for my students to show their understanding. For example, let's say my secondary English class has just finished reading The Death of a Salesman, and it was time to evaluate their understanding. I could just use a paper and pencil test, but there are many alternative ways to show understanding other than traditional tests. Students could write and act out a commercial selling the American dream, put Henry Lohman's flashbacks in chronological order and explain their decision, or analyze the effects of industrialization of New York on Henry Lohman and the environment. It's my belief that all students will thrive when given several different options to prove they understand the material. Sometimes the path was obscured, but my convictions are always restored when I get the chance to see the eyes of a student who's been struggling with a concept light up with understanding. And that feeling I get from helping is indescribable, and it always reminds me of why I wanted to become a teacher in the first place, to help others appreciate and understand the world. My name is Krzan, and I cannot wait to be a language arts teacher.